You predict the 2019 season here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Welcome in to our latest series. It just dawned on me the other day. I guess Target was the inspiration. Shopping at Target. Yes, and it hit me. Hey, why don't we predict every game for the entire 2019 season? Now, I did that to a certain extent the last two off seasons in which I took every team, put up their schedule on a whiteboard, and predicted every game. But what we're going to do here is invite you in, and we're all going to predict all the games for 2019 week by week. And we're going to see the progression throughout the season, select college football playoff teams, and go from there. So check out the previous video where I explain the process through and through, but that's pretty much it right there. We're going to start with week 0, predict every game. I'm going to take your votes. So leave your votes, your winners of all these games, down in the comments section, okay? So let me know who's going to win these games. If you so happen to watch this video after maybe we've released videos for weeks 2, 3, 4, all the way through 15, continue to vote for week 1 if you'd like. I'm going to tally up all the votes of all the games after the season, our season, playing out the schedule is over, and that will determine who wins the games from week to week. Therefore, the voting can go on throughout the season, throughout our season, which I would guess is going to take about 2 to 3 weeks to play out. So, again, hopefully you understand the rules. They're simple. I'm going to read off all the Power 5 games, every Power 5 game, and the key group of 5 games that could impact the college football playoff and championship races. And you can predict every game if you'd like and send me your responses to every game, or you can just select whatever games you would like to predict, and we'll go from there, and we will tally up the votes, and therefore we will know, okay, Mississippi State, they won week 1 because they won the vote. Then they won week 2 because they won the vote. They won week 3 because they won your vote. Oh, week 4, they lost to Auburn because you told me that Auburn was going to win. They got 20 votes and Mississippi State got 12. We're going to march through the entire season for every team. We're going to have standings, and we're going to say this is how the season played out based on your predictions, your votes, and here's how the conference standings laid out. And therefore, we've got 5 conference champions in the Power 5, and these are our top group of 5 teams. And now we've got to select playoff teams. Should be a whole lot of fun. Let's get started. All right. Week 0. We've got all but 2 games, but we've got to predict both of them. We, of course, have the big matchup between Miami and Florida. Game that many of us are anticipating. That game played in Orlando. Pick your winner. Florida and Miami. The Canes coming off a 7-6 campaign. The Gators at 10-3. Then we also have a group of 5 team out of the Mountain West in Hawaii. The Rainbows are hosting the Arizona Wildcats, coming off a non-bowl season in 5-7. Arizona at Hawaii, our other week 0 game. All right, let's get started on that. Basically, what's going to be the opening Thursday night of college football. All right, here we go with the week 1 games. UCLA at Cincinnati. Last year, the Bearcats defeated the Bruins 26-17 at the Rose Bowl. Of course, Chip Kelly's first year was not successful at 3-9. Luke Fickell's second season at Cincinnati certainly was, finishing in the top 25. All right, we also have key games from the Group of 5 and also the Power 5 on that Thursday night. Florida A&M at UCF. Do we really need to vote on that? Yes, we do. UCF hosting Florida A&M. We also have Georgia Tech at Clemson to open the ACC network. The Yellow Jackets and Jeff Collins, of course, in his inaugural game against Dabo Swinney in the national champions at Clemson. All right, we also have Texas State taking on Texas A&M at Kyle Field. We have Minnesota hosting South Dakota State. PJ Fleck trying to back up the bowl victory against Georgia Tech with another fine season as his team was hot down the stretch in 2018. Minnesota hosting South Dakota State. We also have Kent State going to Arizona State to take on Herm Edwards and company. We've got Utah and BYU. Week 1 Holy War in Provo. Utah, the defending Pac-12 South champions, taking on the Cougars, who finished 7-6 last season. All right. On that Friday night, August 30th. Yeah, let's throw this one in. Rice at Army. The Cadets, of course, coming off a top 25 finish last season. The Knights, that would be, coming off a top 25 season. Wisconsin and South Florida. Interesting game. Down in Florida with the Badgers coming off a 8-5 campaign. Tulsa at Michigan State. Sparty at 7-6 last year, hosting the Golden Hurricane. We also have UMass at Rutgers on that Friday night, week 1. Utah State at Wake Forest. The Demon Deacons had another successful season under Dave Clawson last season, finishing with a third consecutive bowl win at 7-6. But in week 1 last year, they almost lost at Tulane against a marginal group of 5 team, winning in overtime. So this time, Wake Forest takes on Utah State minus Matt Wells in the opener at home. We've got Purdue at Nevada in week 1 on that Friday night. We've got Colorado State taking on Colorado in their annual early season grudge match in week 1. Colorado State taking on Colorado. That's a game that's played in Denver, so that's not a home game for either team. Neutral site game, Colorado State. And then finally, we've got a couple of OSUs going at it with Oklahoma State traveling to Oregon State. Corvallis, the Cowboys, and the Beavers, the Pac-12 against the Big 12 in week 1. All right, Saturday, August 31st. Here are your games. James Madison at West Virginia. The Mountaineers gearing up for Missouri and NC State in weeks 2 and 3, but start off with James Madison in Morgantown. We've got Iowa State hosting Northern Iowa. Also, we have Kansas taking on the Sycamores of Indiana State at home in Les Miles' debut. Toledo at Kentucky as the Wildcats, of course, tried to back up that top 10-win finish last season. Ole Miss at Memphis. The Tigers are an early 6-point favorite according to Vegas. The Memphis Tigers hosting Ole Miss. And, of course, the Rebels are bowl eligible this year. Mississippi State taking on Louisiana. We've got Akron at Illinois. Indiana taking on Ball State. That game played at Indianapolis. All right, we also have Howard at Maryland. Florida Atlantic at Ohio State. South Alabama at Nebraska. Also in week 1 on that Saturday, nice little matchup between South Carolina and North Carolina. That game being played in Charlotte. Mac Brown's back at North Carolina taking on Will Muschamp and company. South Carolina, North Carolina in Charlotte. Idaho at Penn State. We've got Duke at Alabama. Actually, that game's going to be played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Alabama taking on Duke. We've got Appalachian State and East Tennessee State playing. We've got Portland State at Arkansas. Ooh, nice little game that brings me back to 2015, week 1, when Northwestern upset Stanford in week 1, and the Cardinal went on to challenge for a college football playoff appearance. Won the Pac-12, won the Rose Bowl, but that cost them a college football playoff appearance, losing to Northwestern in week 1. And here we have 4 years later, Northwestern does the return trip to Stanford. Nice little matchup. Northwestern at Stanford. We've got Montana State at Texas Tech and the debut of Matt Wells in Lubbock. Virginia Tech at Boston College. Key ACC matchup possibly in week 1. Syracuse at Liberty. A lot of people predict the Flames will have a nice season. We've got UC Davis at Cal. The Golden Bears coming off a bowl appearance in the Cheez-It Bowl and a 7-6 record last year under Justin Wilcox. We've got also in Jacksonville. Love this matchup. Boise State and the Broncos coming in to Jacksonville to take on Florida State. Willie Taggart and company trying to bounce back from 5-7 in 2018. Kansas State and the new era there, taking on Nichols in Manhattan. We've got Baylor at home in Waco taking on Stephen F. Austin. We also have Georgia at Vanderbilt, an SEC Eastern Division clash in Week 1. Oregon taking on Auburn. For many people, this is the premier matchup in the non-conference schedule. Certainly in this Week 1, it certainly appears to be the best matchup we can find. Oregon and Auburn, they will be playing at Jerry's World in Dallas. You got Georgia Southern at LSU. We also have Missouri at Wyoming, Middle Tennessee at Michigan, Miami of Ohio at Iowa. Pitt and Virginia, they met in early November last year. Pitt won that game, and that opened the door for them to move on to the ACC championship game. Many people think that this is going to be a key matchup, including myself, and it's played in Week 1, Virginia at Pitt. And, of course, the Cavaliers are coming off a nice 8-5 season with a bowl victory over South Carolina. We also have TCU hosting Arkansas Pine Bluff. Louisiana Tech at Texas. And will the Longhorns be looking ahead to LSU taking on Louisiana Tech? Also, we've got New Mexico State at Washington State. Fresno State at USC. Difficult matchup for the Trojans in Week 1 against the the defending Mountain West Conference champions, who also defeated Arizona State last year in a bowl game in the Las Vegas Bowl. On Sunday, it's Houston at Oklahoma. That game is actually being played. Yes, it's in Norman. Oklahoma taking on Houston at home. And then finally, the Monday night matchup, Notre Dame taking on Louisville on the road. The Cardinals hosting Notre Dame. All right. Once we get out of the non-conference games, there's going to be less games to review each and every week once we get to about Week 4. But for the first couple of weeks, obviously, a lot of Group of Fives taking on the Power Five, and that creates a ton of matchups. So those are all the games for Week 0, Week 1. Make your predictions on any and all. I will tally them up. And again, if you're watching this video much later, maybe we are already into Weeks 5, 6, 7. Wherever we are during the season, you can continue to vote on any of the weeks as we proceed. This is your chance to predict 2019. We'll keep the standings. It will lead to us seeing the final 2019 standings, conference champions. We will play out the conference championship games and, of course, make our selections for the college football playoffs according to your predictions right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And, of course, this is a Wednesday, so regardless of when you're watching this, each and every Wednesday night, we come to you live for 3 solid hours. Florida State Talk at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Miami at 8. Ohio State at 9 Eastern. Power-packed, best live chat room in college football. Please join us each and every Wednesday night right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We will see you next time with Week 2.